All right. Well, good morning, good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are going to continue our series of presentations on our English learner, multilingual learner student master plan. Every district in the state of California is required to have a plan and how we are going to provide a comprehensive ELD program to our students identified as English learners. In Pomona, we are moving towards the term multilingual students, as we believe that bilingualism and multilingualism is a strength and something that should be celebrated. You will see the term English learner and multilingual used in this plan. Tonight, you will also be getting a copy of the English Learner Master Plan in English and in Spanish, and you'll also get a copy of this presentation. So again, we want to say thank you for being here with us this evening. Let's go ahead and get started. For the parent that just joined us, we do have translation. Dr. Jacqueline Romano is going to be doing the translation. But before going any further, I do want people to introduce themselves. So if you do need to interact with our team, Ms. Macias, you know who you're talking to. So Ms. Toski, please go ahead and get us started.
Yes, good evening. My name is Noelle Thoski, and I'm a teacher specialist, particularly for our students who are newcomers, which means they are new to the country.
Perfect. All right, next on my screen with the beautiful Dodger Stadium in her background, Ms. Brenda Quintana.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Quintana. I'm a teacher on assignment for the English Learner Multilingual Student Department, and I support in all capacities. Any questions are welcome.
Pretty much all capacities. That captures it well, Brenda. I like that. My tocayo on the left-hand side, Dr. Juan Areche.
Good evening, Ms. Macias. My name is Juan Areche. I'm Program Administrator for English Learner Multilingual Students, and it is an honor really to be able to support the implementation of designated and integrated ELD for English learner students across our school district.
In the middle of my screen is Ms. Maria Rosas.
Good evening. My name is Marilena Rosas. I am the teaching specialist at Fremont Academy for the newcomer program.
And then Ms. Julieta Pantoja. Hopefully we can hear her tonight.
Yes, good evening.
Perfect.
Yes, my name is Julie Pantoja, and what I do is I work with our teachers in the implementation of our ELD, which is both systematic ELD and constructing meaning. And so I am there to support our teachers and ensure also that we support our parents.
All right, Ms. Jody Britton.
Good afternoon. My name is Jody Britton. I'm also a teacher specialist with our EML department, and I work with Julie with our TK through 12, working with all of the students in our English Learner Multilingual department.
All right, and Ms. Macias, you are talking directly to Dr. Romano. She is our teacher specialist for our dual language immersion program. So, Ms. Macias, you said that your son was in TK. So next year would be the year if you are interested in enrolling your son in the dual language immersion programs, either at Westmont or Allison or Pantera. Pantera is Chinese and Westmont Allison are in Spanish. Then it is the perfect time next year in kindergarten to enroll your son in those programs, and they can get a bilingual education in Pomona Unified. All right, let's get started with what we're going to talk about this evening. So, Ms. Macias, what you see on the screen today is our vision. And a big part of our vision is that we are committed to collaborating with our educational partners, which are parents. You are our number one partner, along with our teachers, in this work in supporting your children, right? It's our commitment to provide your child with rigorous, equitable, research-based programs that build on their cultural and linguistic strengths, address their individual academic and social emotional needs, and really empower them to leverage their language skills to successfully access college and career opportunities as accomplished multilingual global citizens. And so it's really a treat to talk to a TK parent because you are starting your journey, and we will be partners in the work of educating your child and meeting their needs for the next 13 years. So as a parent, and all of us here on the screen are parents, we understand what it means to trust someone with your most precious thing. And we are all on behalf of our Board of Education and Mr. Knowles really thankful that you trust us with educating your child. This is our team. You met most of them. You can see that we're all a pretty good gung-ho group, that we're here at 6 p.m. Wanting to meet with our parents. All of these folks support teachers directly, support parents, and most importantly, support students in their work moving on to reclassification. And so our job as a unified school district is to provide a comprehensive ELD program. What does that mean? There are two parts of an ELD program. Designated ELD, that is the time during the day that your son or daughter, in this case your son, if he is identified as an English learner, will receive instruction every day during a specific time during the regular school day, where they will focus on teaching English, teaching your child how English works and all the English skills necessary for learning content in English. In our district, that is 45 minutes per day. When they're little, a little bit less. Right now in TK, I believe it's 15 minutes a day, then it starts moving to 30. But during his time in 1st through 6th grade, it will be 45 minutes every day. The rest of the day, it's our job to provide integrated ELD, which is defined as continued instruction in which state-adopted standards are used in conjunction with academic content standards. So integrated ELD includes strategies throughout math, history, language arts, science, any other grade level that continues to develop children's language. So last year, the Board of Education approved our English Learner Master Plan, which took us a full 3 years to research, develop, draft, revise, and finally approved. This year we had the master plan translated in Spanish. And so our job this year is to put this plan in front of as many parents and educate our parents. And as they become and you feel more comfortable with what is in the master plan, you'll be able to advocate for your child with a lot more success, because you will be able to understand what we're supposed to be doing. And if we're not doing that, hold us accountable to do that work. That is part of the role of a parent. So this is our front cover. We're going to be talking about pages 42 through 49. So you can, as we post this video, if you're not watching it tonight live and you see this on a later date that we post in Parent Square, you can download a copy of the EL Master Plan, both in English and Spanish, from our website. Ms. Toski, maybe we can actually drop in the link to the page where our master plans are placed. And then for, if you're listening to this later, for our Chinese-speaking parents, we'll be working on this translation this year and hopefully have that same document ready in Chinese for the start of next school year. So pages 42 to 49 are the focus of tonight's presentation. Every chapter starts in a similar way. You can see chapter 2, the title of chapter 2 is called Responding to Diverse Learners. And what that means is in Pomona, we have all sorts of different types of English learners. Every child has different needs. And in this chapter, we really go through explaining what the policies and procedures are for identifying students. This would be very important to you, Ms. Macias, as your child goes into kindergarten, how we assess students and place them. What are your rights as a parent? What do you have to get notified? Tonight's focus in this chapter is reclassification, and we really discuss how we're going to try to meet everyone's need, including our students that are identified, duly identified as both EL students with a learning disability. So chapter 2 is very important for parents to have an understanding. Notice on the upper right left-hand corner, this is page 24 of the master plan. You see an image of the California English Learner Roadmap. We are very proud to say that we were one of the first districts in California to really use the newer English Learner Roadmap from California to really guide our work. So all our work is aligned to the document from the state of California. And the little flags here tell us who, which group, which educational partner this master plan is really important to. So you can see in this chapter, certificated staff teachers, school leadership, principals, assistant principals should know about this chapter. Obviously, our district leadership and family members. So this is a very important chapter for families. We go a little bit deeper into identifying from the California roadmap which principles you will find in this chapter. So you can see the 4 principles there that the state of California made to help guide us in our work. And then you'll see in addition, a little bit more specificity on the actual elements that are covered in this chapter, and what our role is in being compliant with the state of California, and kind of how we plan to do these things in our own district here in Pomona. And this is still page 24 of the master plan. We talked about this a little bit. Again, the references to our partners and to the California roadmap. So there are a lot of really important parts of this chapter, but we're going to start with page 30. Page 30 tells us about our LPAC assessments. So as a parent, you may wonder what tests are used to determine if my child is an English learner, multilingual learner student. How does an English learner become identified as an English learner? It all starts with that home language survey, which you will find a lot of information about the home language survey in this chapter. But there are basically 2 types of tests. There is an initial LPAC and there is a summative LPAC. There is also the same version that are called alternate initial LPACs and alternate summative LPAC. These exams are for our students that are duly identified, that have an IEP. The alternate exams are for students that have significant cognitive challenges. So students that would be identified as moderate to severe in their learning disabilities take the alternate LPAC. About 90% of our children will take the LPAC that is in green here. It starts with the initial. At the end of every year, your child will take the summative. So Ms. Macias, in your case, your child next year in kindergarten will take the initial LPAC. If they are identified as an English learner, then starting in February, they'll take the summative LPAC. They'll only take this test twice in kindergarten. After that, your child will take only the summative LPAC every year. Our testing starts in February and continues until May. So reclassification is the goal for all English learners, that they demonstrate, and we support them in demonstrating that they are now reclassified fluent English proficient. There is a criteria from the state of California that we are going to go through tonight, but I want to just reinforce how important it is to reclassify and what an accomplishment it is when your child does this, right? Reclassifying means that my academic English, while I started in a home that does not speak English as the primary language, I now can demonstrate that my academic English is just as good as a student born and raised in the US with only English. It is a huge accomplishment. I know our department looks at it only second place to graduating from high school. So when the day comes that your son or daughter reclassifies, it is time for a big celebration. It is a huge accomplishment. I know many of us have tried to learn other languages, and it is not easy. And so when your child accomplishes this, it is definitely a day to celebrate. So why is it so important? We kind of talked a little bit about that it means that your child is the same as a monolingual student, but it also means that your child will no longer need additional support. They will not receive ELD during the school day at all. And we're basically saying your child will not struggle in school because of language. They have sufficient language. Their ability to read, write, listen, and speak is sufficient to have full access to the grade level content that they are receiving in school. This is especially important to get done when our children are in elementary school. It does not have to happen in first grade or second grade, but by fourth grade, your child should be ready to reclassify. That is our goal. And as a parent, it's important that you work with your child's school to make sure they are on track. When your child reclassifies, they will never take an ELD course again. And the kids love to know that they will never take the LPAC again. Once you reclassify, you will never take that test. I spoke a little bit about why it's so important to do this in elementary, because at the middle and high school, your student gets to start choosing electives. They get to choose 1 to 2 classes in high school sometimes that there's their own choice of what they want to study. If they have reclassified, they get to take those different subjects. If they have not reclassified, then they will continue to receive ELD, and sometimes they can feel like they miss out on a lot of opportunities in high school. While it does not hurt their grades, it does not keep them from graduating, it does not harm them, we want to make sure they have access to all the classes that they may want to take. On pages 44 through 45 on the ELML Student Master Plan, you will see our criteria. In Pomona, we really try to stick to these 4 colors. There are 4 steps to the criteria for reclassification in the state of California. We are going to go through these in a couple of minutes. Ms. Pantoja is going to take over in a couple minutes. But I want you to be looking for these colors. Whenever you see these colors, you will know that we are talking about reclassification. If your son or daughter receives a letter home and you see these colors on it, it's about reclassification. When your child starts the process at elementary, you will see them receive bracelets with the different colors, meaning that they are on the way to reclassify. Another great way to learn about this process is to attend your school's ELAC meetings. Every school in our district has a committee for English learner parents. That committee is run by parents and there are resource teachers. And in those monthly meetings, you will learn a great deal about everything it means to be an English learner parent, all the rules, all the laws, how we support you. So please attend our ELAC meetings. When we as parents know more, we can do more, right? And so it's important. Most of our schools, if not all of them, offer a Zoom option for our ELAC meetings so that we can stay connected if you don't or cannot come to the school site. All right, so let's continue with this part. You'll also see on page 47 and 49 through 49, we also have a criteria for our students with disabilities. Later on this evening, Dr. Areche will take us through the criteria that is a little bit different for our students that are duly identified and have an IEP. We actually have 2 pathways for them depending on their learning disabilities and the severity of their learning disabilities. You can find these on page 47 through 49 of the English Learner Master Plan. So I'm going to take a break and send it over to Ms. Julie Pantoja. She is one of our teacher specialists for our language development programs, and she supports all our teachers K through 12, and she's going to help us understand what are the actual steps for my child.
Yes. First of all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Because I was having a little bit of a difficulty earlier. Thank you. So yes, in assisting our parents to ensure that they understand the reclassification process is really important because they need to understand what is, how they can help at home, as well as what is occurring at the district level and at the site level for us to be able to help your students reclassify. So if you can go ahead and move on to the next one, please. Thank you. So what you have here is the actual reclassification criteria process. What you see there on the right side is our vision, and then some information there for our parents. And what we've done is we wanted to ensure that certain processes were really easy for us to understand. So everything is very color-coded, right? So the first reclassification pathway that I will go over is pathway 1. And if you go over to our next slide, what we have here, in order for a student to be considered for reclassification, the first criteria is that they must receive a 4 on the LPAC to be considered for that reclassification process, right? So students must get a 4, okay? That is the first step. The second step has two several different pathways there, sections. So we have step 2, which is the skill set. And if you notice there at the top, it'll give us for kindergarten through 5th grade. And then on the right side, it'll have it for 6th grade through 12th grade, right? So if we look over to the kinder through 5th, right? Step number 2 is all about the skills assessments that we give our students, right? And so we have option 1 as being the English diagnostic test, test 1 or test 2, DIA 1 or DIA 2. And if you notice there, the information indicates that they must receive a 60% on either DIA 1 or DIA 2, right? So it doesn't have to be on both. It's either one or the other. Option 2 there, we have for the grade level Lexile for 3rd through 5th grade. Okay, and that is some readings that they do. And so I'll go over what that indicates in just a minute. And then option 3 is that they receive for the English CASP, their score should be a 3 or a 4 for grades 4 through 5th grade. If you look over to 6th grade through 12th, the skill sets are a little different. If you notice, therefore, option 1 for DIA 1 or DIA 2, the same as the lower grade, it must be a 60%. They must be able to reach that. Option 2 is the grade level Lexile, and I'll show you some information on that, like I said, in a minute. And then option 3 is that they receive in the English CASP a score of a 3 or a 4. And if you'll notice there, the grade level spans 6th through 9th and the 12th grade. Okay. Now, talking about the DIA, okay, the district assessment, that's what it's called, the DIA. They are given the the fall diagnosis falls for kinder through 5th grade. We have it occur August through September, and all students in grades 3rd through 5th take that assessment. And this is what's called the fall diagnostic test. Okay, so it kind of helps us determine where the students fall. DIA 1 is given in the month of November, from approximately November 4th through the 15th. And this is for grades kinder through 5th, as well as 6th through 12th grade on those dates that we have there. Then we have the DIA 2, which is, once again, the English Language Arts DIA 2. This is given in the month of February, and is for, if you notice there at the bottom, it does have specific dates when this is given. So this is that second part of that reclassification skills assessment that we were talking about earlier. Now, the next part is the Achieve 3000. So what happens with Achieve 3000 is that at the beginning of the school year, okay, it is administered to the students once at the beginning of the school year, and then once again at the end of the school year. And this is what's given, it's given like a placement of where the students fall within their reading. Now, for students that fall a little bit lower, what happens there is that if the students fall below a 50% level, sorry, not percent, but 50 level, then what happens is that they are given like mid-assessment year interim assessments to see where students are falling. Now, the other thing that occurs with the Lexile scores is that in the classroom, teachers assign some of these Achieve 3000, what's the word I'm looking for?
Articles.
Articles, thank you, articles. And what happens there, they also either assign them or they actually work with them and kind of guide instruction with them, and then are able to give the assessment so that we see whether or not the students are making growth in that articles that they are given. So if we go to the next slide set here, what you'll see is the Lexiles depending on the grade level of the students, right? So if you look here at the top, we have third grade, and what we are wanting is for our students to be at that 455 level, okay? If you look at students like in fifth grade, right, you'll notice that there is an increase to approximately 745. If we keep moving down, ninth grade, we are looking for students to be able to read at the level of 980. And then finally, 12th grade, 1,120. So every single year, we are definitely wanting that increase of their level. As obviously, what is really demonstrating to us is their comprehension of what it is that they're reading. Okay. Now, if we move to our next slide, we talk about one of the last portion there of the skill set. It talked about the CASP score. So what you have here is an actual CASP score of a student there, right? And so what you have there, it'll tell us on where it is that the student falls. In this case, we have a student that is at a level 3, which is standards met. And if you notice there on the side, it does have on the right side, it'll kind of give us the coding there, the color coding, right? Of a level 1, which is that orange color, right? And it'll give the numbers more or less. And what it demonstrates on whether or not the student is meeting, right? The standard or not. If you notice the first one there, that orange is standard is not met. The second kind of like yellow color is standard met, nearly met. And that green, that's what we want our students to be able to be at, right? That the standard is being met or that the standard is being exceeded, which is that blue, right? So this is, once they comprise the color, the scores here, this is with a number that the student is at right now, which is that they are meeting the standard at a level 3, okay? So that is for the CASP. Now, the next criteria happens to be step number 3, which is that parent consultation that occurs. And basically, this is not necessarily anything that the students have to do. This is where the resource teacher actually reaches out to you, and what they do is talk to you about whether you feel the student is also ready for that reclassification. And, I know all students as well as all parents become very excited when, they've reached that 4 and they've been able to also meet the pathway criteria 2, which is that skill set. And so now that parent consultation is, yes, do you agree or not agree that your student is in fact ready for that to be considered for that reclassification? Now, typically most parents, obviously say yes, absolutely, that they are very excited about their students being able to reach that goal. So this is just in referencing that information about the notification to parents about that their child being a candidate for reclassification. The next piece here is step number 4. And this is where the students have to pass a writing exam, okay, which is the final step. And so there are several options here. So we have option 1, meaning that the student receives a 3 or a 4 for that district writing that we have. Option 2 is that they receive a score of 7 for students that are in 4th through 9th and the 12th grade, right? So obviously there is a written exam that students have to be able to pass. Okay. Now, here is basically a timeline of when all of this occurs. If you notice, we have the dates, months there at the top. And so typically, the LPAC scores that we receive from the previous year come to us typically on the month of August and September. And that is when we are able to know whether or not your child is a candidate for reclassification with that LPAC 4 score. And then after that, you'll notice step number 2, right? That was step number 1 for the LPAC 4. Then we have step number 2, and that has the same, the criteria, which is that DIA. If you notice, it goes from the month of August when the school year starts all the way through the month of the month of May. And so that is step number 2. Step number 3 typically occurs several times throughout the year, depending on whether or not the student is considered for that reclassification. And then finally, the writing. And once again, the writing is also given a few times throughout the year to see if they're actually able to pass that writing test so that they can, in fact, reclassify. Okay. And now I know that Dr. Areche will be talking about the reclassification pathways for students with dual identification.
Yes. Can we forward to the next slide, please?
Before we go to the second pathways or the other pathways,
Okay.
Dr. Areche, I want to take just a check for any of our parents that may have a question. Mrs. Estrada, Gabriela, Ms. Macias, Mr. Zapotecas, are there any questions so far about the criteria? Because it can be a lot, right? And it takes time to really fully understand the criteria. So I just want to check if you want to type something in the chat room, you can, or you can raise your hand and we can take a question. Okay, so we're going to move on to Dr. Areche. He's going to tell us about, all right, sounds good, Mr. Zapotecas. If your child has an IEP, right, what is the different pathways that they can use? These pathways are new. Dr. Areche led this work with our committees to try to make sure we designed a criteria for our students with an IEP so that it was equitable for them and that they have the option to demonstrate their English proficiency as well. So Dr. Areche will get started. And Ms. Gabriela, you have some really good questions. The first thing I would say is to be talking to your child about reclassification, right? It's super important that they know that this is important to you. The second step at the end, Ms. Toski just pushed some links in the chat. Jody's going to take us to some pages where you can practice with your child at home, the last part of our presentation. But the first recommendation I would make is go to your school. Ask for your resource teacher. Which school, if you don't mind telling us, either you can say it out loud or type it in the chat. What school does your child attend? Because every school has a resource teacher, and that resource teacher, it's kind of our specialist about reclassification. So at Kellogg, I think it's Ms. Julissa Burris, right? And Ms. Burris is an expert in reclassification. She can go over the email. Ms. Toski is like on point. She's dropped a few of the email in there. She's a pro. She'll sit with you and go over your child's LPAC scores. Let you know about where, what systematic ELD class they're in. What can you practice at home, right? So she'll definitely be the expert for you. And Jody's going to share some resources a little bit. So Dr. Areche, go ahead and tell us about our pathways for our students with our dual identification, meaning they're both an English learner and they have an IEP.
Yes, good evening. during today's session, I have an opportunity to share about the opportunities that duly identified students have to be able to reclassify. And I think in particular, we saw that we have a student at Diamond Ranch, and this is Jesus Garcia, who is duly identified because he is an English learner who also is supporting with learning disabilities. So this may be important information in particular for this family. So our students who are duly identified can reclassify through the information that Ms. Pantoja just shared. She spoke about LPAC score of 4, scoring, doing well on the English language arts for ELA, on the CAS for ELA, their achieve level, and taking the reclassification writing test. However, sometimes the disability is a barrier in achieving those targets that we have in those pathways. And so in the last few years, we've had an opportunity to develop 2 additional pathways that provide equity, where we are comparing our duly identified students' English ability to their English-only peers. English-only students are those students that have spoken English throughout their entire lives. And so we're comparing our duly identified students to English-only students who also are supported with a learning disability. These pathways also allow us to ensure that duly identified students receive comprehensive ELD. And like Mr. Ortiz mentioned, comprehensive ELD includes designated ELD, that separate block of time dedicated to English language development, and then integrated ELD, language support throughout the day. These 2 pathways you'll see include the use of California's English language test. There are 2 versions. There's the LPAC, and then we also have the alternate LPAC, which is called the ESOL. And although we have these 2 additional pathways, we very much still have to comply with the state's 4 criteria, which consist of the English test, the LPAC, or the alternate LPAC, comparison of performance and basic skills, parent consultation, and teacher evaluations. And you're going to see that we're very much going to have the green step, the blue step, the yellow step, and the purple step, similar to pathway number 1. So let's talk about pathway number 2. So reclassification, pathway number 2, begins with the first criterion, the language assessment. Here you'll see it reads ESOL score of 4. ESOL is the alternate LPAC, and the possible scores here are a 1, a 2, or a 3. And to meet this first step, a duly identified student would have to score a 3. Now, the ESOL assessment is for a minority of duly identified students, maybe about 5% of our duly identified students who are supported with more moderate or severe learning disabilities. And in fact, it's the IEP team which has to decide that a duly identified student will take the ESOL test instead of the LPAC test. But if they do qualify for this test and they score a 3, then they are well on their way towards reclassification through pathway number 2. The second criterion is compare 7 basic skills, and you heard Ms. Pantoja speak about the DIAs, the district interim assessments, the CASP ELA, Achieve 3000. In this pathway at this time, we have the CAW. The CAW is the California Alternative Assessment for Language Arts. This is where students in 4th grade through 12th grade, a student can score a 1, 2, or 3. And if a student achieves a score of 2 or 3, then they have met the second criterion. And we're currently working with our special education department to look at an assessment called ULS. So we'll have an additional option here in the blue under criteria number 2. You heard Ms. Pantoja speak about step number 3, which is the consultation with parents. Parents are integral in this process. We want to make sure that we have parent input, and then this would occur during the IEP, where reclassification is being discussed. And finally, criteria number 4 is teacher evaluation. And this is a case manager who is sharing that the student is making progress on their linguistically appropriate IEP goal. And so for a student that to reclassify through pathway number 2, this would take place during an IEP meeting, but consists of the 4 criteria, beginning with the alternate LPAC, a score of 3. Pathway number 3 is similar also for duly identified students. If you look at criteria number 1, this is for our students that participate in the LPAC, and the expectation is to score the highest level, which is a level 4. Although what we are careful about or attend to is to ensure that students that have IEPs receive the designated supports, are able to use tools on this assessment, and have the accommodations necessary to be able to counter any challenges that they may have on this test due to their disability. And so we're truly able to get a sense or learn what their language ability is on this LPAC test. So if a student scores that 4, then we have criteria number 2. This can be met through the district interim assessment scores. We have DIA1, DIA2, and this is in comparison to their English-only peers, so English-only students who also are supported with a disability. Similar to Pathway 1, we can also look at Lexile scores. I'm just mentioning it here, but then we have some upcoming slides where you'll be able to see the actual targets or percentages. And if a student scores on the CASP ELA, A3, that's another way to meet this criterion. The consultation with parents would occur during an IEP, and the conversation or discussion about the progress on IEP goals would also occur during the IEP. So as you can see, the difference between Pathway 3 and Pathway 2 is that students in Pathway 3 take the LPAC. We would call it the regular LPAC test, or consider it the regular LPAC. For this pathway, we spoke about the district interim assessment for reading, DIA1. If you remember Ms. Pantoja, she mentioned 60%, but here we look at the student's disability. So for example, if you see 210 ID, that's referring to students that are supported through for intellectual disability. 220 HH is hard of hearing. Most of our students are supported for 290 SLD, which is specific learning disability. And the numbers you see there through the columns representing the various grades is what the target score is. So for example, if we look at 280 OHI, we see a 40, meaning that if a student that is supported with the other health impaired or OHI disability must score 40% on their DIA1 or DIA2 for reading, 40% or higher. And if they achieve that, then that's one way that they can meet the second step, the blue step, criteria number 2. So on the next slide, we're going to see the percentages for, I'm sorry, that was DIA number 1, the percentages for DIA number 2. The reason that they're slightly different is because we looked at the performance of English-only students with disabilities and what the averages were. So if you notice, the percentages are just a bit higher for DIA number 2. And now if we look at the same example of OHI, other health impaired, which is a 280, the target would no longer be 40% on DIA2, the target would be 45%. So just a bit higher in DIA2 compared to DIA1. And we mentioned Achieve 3000 or students' Lexile scores. And so here in the second column, you'll see what the Lexile targets are based on grade level. Again, these were developed by looking at the outcomes or scores of English-only students supported in the various disabilities. and their average Lexile. So if a student is able to meet the blue step or criteria number 2 through their DIA, through Lexile targets that you see here, or by scoring a 3 on the English Language Arts CASP assessment. I think that's the
So
final
this
slide
is,
on the pathways.
Yes.
yeah, that's the final slide for the pathways for our special education students. I know there were some questions, Ms. Toski, that were going on in the chat, and I think you answered them. Are there any other questions from our parents? We're going to go to Jody. We got about 10 minutes left together, and Jody's going to show us some of the resources as a parent that I can use at home. But before we go there, I know we've had a couple of new parents show up to our meeting. Thank you so much. This recording will be sent out on Parent Square in the next couple of days. But are there any questions from Ms. Olorio? Ms. Olorio, I saw you join us. Ms. Estrada, anyone else that might have a question? Okay, then there was a question earlier, I think, from Gabriela about what can I do at home? And so Ms. Britton is going to use, oh, actually, I'm sorry, Ms. Pantoja's next for a couple minutes, my bad. She's
Yes.
going to tell us a little bit about partnering with our parents and showing you, I think, an example of an LPAC.
Yes. Okay. So along with our parent resources and student progress monitoring and so forth, one of the things that we, pride ourselves with is really for you as parents to know that, we are working alongside with you. And so here are some of the commitments that we make as a district to ensure that we have that partnership with you. One of them is that we provide a safe and clean environment for students to be able to learn, to ensure that we are meeting the academic and social emotional needs of all of the students that we have here at PUSD, that we are providing a comprehensive ELD program for our multilingual students, meaning that we are providing that ELD, which is that systematic ELD, alongside for our upper grade students, that we are providing constructing meaning, right? Because we know, and I know Mr. Ortiz talked about that full integrated and designated ELD, right? So that is that comprehensive ELD component. And one other commitment that we have is that we provide each student with excellent daily instruction. And so because it is a partnership, what we ask of you, right, as for that commitment, is that you are ensuring that the students are attending school consistently and on time. It is very vital that students are here so that we can provide the instruction for them. That you provide structure and a quiet place for students to do their homework every single night. That's really imperative for them to know that they have a specific time where they do their homework. They have maybe a specific area where they do their homework all the time, and they have all the supplies that they need. That we support, that you support all of our school initiatives, right? Whether it be EL Achieve, whether it be anything that is going on with our schools, right? It's really important for you to be involved, because when you are involved, it is a lot easier for you to be able to assist your child. And the last commitment here, right? What we ask is that you're monitoring student progress on report cards, district tests, and state tests, meaning that you are attending whenever there is any parent-teacher conference, right? That you are looking on our websites and so forth, and that you are also looking at any type of assessments that we are providing, right? That you are looking on our parent portal, so that you are very well aware of how your child is doing. So, as we said, is a commitment that is a dual commitment from us to you and from you to us. If you move on to our next slide, we want to show you, and you probably have come across, whether it be the initial LPAC results, or some of you have maybe have been involved in, have seen the assessment LPAC results for the summative assessment. And so when you look at this results, you'll notice once again, it'll give us a level score, right? And it is comprised of various sections, right? If you notice here on the right-hand side, you'll have the general levels, right? Starting a 1, which is a minimally developed English, right? That the students score at. A level 2 would be somewhat developed. Level 3 would be a moderately developed. And where we want all of our students to be is that they have well-developed and possibly have already reclassified, right? That is that level 4, which is where we're hoping that, you know, we're pushing our students towards. You'll notice too that it has some information for you as parents here. And if we go on to the next slide, it is a little more specific to the actual scoring. Okay, on this next slide, you see this is 2 different grade levels, right? The first one here, you'll see grade level 6. So that first slide that I showed you is kind of like on one side of our sheet. And then the results here would be on the back side of that sheet. And so the nice thing about it is that it has a lot of information that is really helpful for us as our teachers, as well as for you as parents, so that you can understand how this test is actually broken down. So if you'll notice, there on the bottom, towards the bottom there, you'll have the oral language score of 1520. And how they've come across or how they've compiled this score is that they're taking 2 portions of the test into consideration. One is the listening, which in this case came out as well developed, and the speaking, which came out as somewhat developed. Then on the right-hand side, you have the written language score, which came out at 1580. And it shows that that is moderately developed. And that is comprised of the reading level, which is well developed, and then the writing that is somewhat developed. So once they take all of these scores, that is how they come up with an overall score for the student. Now, the other nice thing that it has there at the top, you'll see that little grid that has the various grade levels, right? So you have one that is the 4th grade level. The student scored at a 1490, which is a level 2. Now, what we want is every year for the student to be able to make progress and growth, right? So if we go on to the next year, which is 5th grade, is at 1500, and it's at a level 2. So if we really take a close look here, there really was not a lot of growth from one year to the next, right? But if you look at grade 6, it came out at 1550, and it's at level 3. So now from the 6th grade, from 5th grade to 6th grade, they went up a level, right? And so this really provides us a nice little historical information really at our fingertips so that we can see the growth and progression of that LPAC score, okay? So here you just have a 6th grade as well as a 11th grade results, okay? Now, my colleague, Jody Britton, will be leading us through our next section, which has to do with the LPAC resources for parents.
Good evening. I just want to share some resources you can use at home and that you can actually bring to the classroom or bring to your conference centers. The first one is the Starting Smarter LPAC Parent Guide. If you go ahead and click on that. Parents, you do have access to this slide deck. So these resources with the links are all attached. So please go into them later and peruse them at your convenience. This one is really understanding your students' score, a lot of what Ms. Pantoja just went through. And if you click on the very top right-hand corner, as you just saw, it does go from English to Spanish. Right now, those are the only two languages it does have, but you can see understanding your child's report. I don't know if you want to go down just a little bit just to show them a little bit more, and then we'll go to the next one. So like, what is the LPAC and what it all stands for? And that does have some more information. And this also takes you to links that does take you to the, it's very small. You would have to scroll down and go down to where it says LPAC, and this will take you to the practice test and some more information about the LPAC test. See right there, summative LPAC. And a parent's guide to understanding the LPAC is all inside there. Again, this is a great opportunity for you to go ahead and use that at a later time. Okay, if we go back to the other one, I do want to get back to the practice test also, because those are very important. Okay, and then the reclassification criteria, that link shows you all the reclassification that we just went through, and those posters you should see at all of the school sites, and it gives you information on how we reclassify, and it gives you all of our reclassification criteria on great poster-like forms, so it's easy to understand. And again, the color-coded as we've discussed before. And it has all their steps on how to. Then the next big one in the green is the practice and training test. The only difference between the practice and training test is one they are doing with their teacher and one they are doing at home. If you click on the last one, do you see the one with a student inside? That is the one you will want to use. The first two are for teachers to use in their classroom, so that students understand how to take their test in the classroom technology-wise. So those are used in the classroom. The last one where it says practice and training test for students, that's the one that you can use at home to do practice tests with your students. So if we click on it, they did change this a little bit. You're just going to continue as guest. So if you click on continue as guest, and again, it will have you continue as guest. The other side, if they were doing this in the classroom, that's where they would be filling out that information. Here is where you would select the grade of your student. So we can go ahead and click any grade, right? And here are different assessments that they can practice on. You'd want to scroll down to where it says the LPAC, the English Learner Proficiency Assessment Practice Test right there. If you click on that, and there's also the training test, so both of them. So as Julie was showing you in the LPAC results, there are 4 sections to the LPAC test: the listening, reading, writing, and speaking. You'd want to pick one and then hit start. The settings, you can just go ahead through. You can see if there's any settings that you'd want to switch, but most of the settings are very standardized. Here is where you check the sound, and you can just press the play button to make sure that you'll be able to hear it. And then you hit start if you hear it, and begin. And what this will show you is the instructions, and then it will show you sample questions of what will be on the test. It will show you pictures sometimes for lower grades. It may not show you pictures for secondary, and then it will give you options, and the students can go ahead and check their answers here. So they would go through, they would pick their answers, and then they hit next. Oh, you'd probably have to pick one. Uh-oh. And if it doesn't refresh, we can go back. Because I know we're running out of time. Back down to the LPAC. So you see, once you get the hang of it, you can get in there pretty quickly. And again. So you would pick your answer, and then you would hit next, which is in the top left-hand corner. And then there will be another question. So this would be a great opportunity for your student to practice how the LPAC works and also see sample questions on what they might ask on the LPAC. It will not be the exact same, but the same formatting and the same type of questions, whether it's your opinion, asking for your opinion, or how they ask their questions. And you would go ahead and click on your answers. And it's a great opportunity to have that discussion with your child. Why do you think it is this? And why do you think it's not the other ones? And also a process of elimination. So these are all great techniques to use while you're going through the LPAC practice test with them. And now the LPAC resources. These are all the resources that's available to you. A lot of them you will see doubles. You will see there are different links to get to this practice test. There are different links to, oh great, whoever just put it in there, of a smarter part to take even. And they're great. You just have to click on the top where it does say the LPAC, and a lot of different resources. The last one, this one's great. It's the Parent-Teacher Conference questions. We do have it available in English and Spanish. These are questions you want to take to your student's teacher. You can print them out. If you need us to print it out for you, just give us a holler and we will be happy to do that. If you have a conference with your teacher or you ever want to meet with your teacher, these are great questions to ask. I'm sorry, they are too small, Mr. Ortiz. If you can make it bigger or if you can read it for me, I cannot see it that small. Oh, great. So these are the ones in Espanol. So you can see these questions are, thank you. How are you measuring my child's progress? What can I do to help my child? What subjects he finds difficult? Is my child trying as hard as he can? So this is a great resource to print and to bring in a parent conference and really have those important discussions with your child's teacher. And I would highly suggest that when you do, you take notes, because sometimes I get a little overwhelmed with how much information is coming at me, that I like to take notes. So I'll have the question and then I will write the answer so that you have that available so you can go through it with your child at a later time. And I believe that was the end of my section, right? Although I think I went through all the links.
Yeah, no, you did really good, Jody. Thank you so much. That is really the presentation for tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody who's here. A couple of things on the last slide. On the left-hand side, there is a list of contact information for your school. So if you're newer to our district or you're not sure, who do I reach out to? You can use your camera, take a picture of this. It will open up to a sheet and it will be by school. And at each school, it will tell you who the office manager is, who the resource teacher is, who's the principal, with contact information so that you can email, you can call, you can connect with your class, with your school. The one on the right hand is really important. If you would like to meet with your resource teacher, I know we had someone from Kellogg, I think we have someone from Diamond Ranch. If you use your camera on the right hand side, it will ask you if you would like to personally meet with your resource teacher so that you can have a one-on-one meeting to go over your students' LPAC scores. Ms. Pantoja showed us an example of an LPAC score, but it can take some time to learn how to really read that and know, how do I monitor which part my child needs help with. Meeting with someone from the school is very helpful. We can meet with you every year until your child reclassifies. Whatever it takes, that's what we're committed to in Pomona Unified. So please use these. We are going to be getting together every month of the year this year. Our plan is to go through every chapter of the English Learner Master Plan. You will also see announcements from your school of when we are coming to your school, your ELAC, to provide physical copies of the English Learner Master Plan. It really is important, parents, that you attend as many meetings as you can. The more that you go to these meetings, many times they're about an hour and a half. Attend these. If you get these in Parent Square, the announcements, put them on your own social media accounts, on your Facebook account, on your Instagram account. Help us communicate with our community, because we really want to connect with parents, and we are partners in this work. So I want to say again, thank you for this evening, for making time. I know it's dinner time, it's homework time, I just want to sit on the couch and unwind for a second time, and you chose that to spend it with us. So we're very grateful for that. We will be here next month. Again, you will get the announcements. I want to say thank you to my incredible team that they're here. They finished their day at 4:30, 3:30. And they're at home, but still working to meet with our parents. So I want to say thank you very much. On behalf of the board, Mona, and on behalf of Mr. Knowles, I want to say thank you again for everything you do, the support you provide your children and for us. And so I'll see you next month. Thank you so much. Thank you to Ms. Dr. Jacqueline Arroyo Romano, who I can't hear, but she's over there trying to, I'm sure, catch up with us and say everything in Spanish. That's not an easy job to do. So thank you, Dr. Romano. I wish everyone well. We will see you in December. So happy Thanksgiving. Feliz Día de Acción de Gracias. God bless everyone and have a good night. Thank you. Oh, I think there's one more slide. There you go. If there is anyone with questions, I think we've put our contact information out there. You can always reach out to us. Thank you again, everyone. Have a nice evening, and we'll see you in December. Thank you, everybody.